and we'll go ahead and get going because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lori Christine, and I am the Coordinator of Academic Accessibility at the University of Virginia. I am also currently serving as the chair of the VHEAP Captioning Committee and am honored to represent this group of 11 folks that have worked very hard to bring you the VHEAP Captioning Initiative. As you are aware, the Virginia Higher Education Accessibility Partners, commonly referred to as VHEAP, have been working for nearly a year to identify and make available vendors who can provide quality and effective captioning, both live and post-production, and audio description services to K-12 schools, post-secondary schools and institutions, and state agencies across the Commonwealth. 9 vendors have been identified to provide these services. These vendors have entered into agreements with UVA, agreeing to state terms and conditions, UVA's data protection addendum, and have undergone a UVA IT security review. UVA will serve as the administrator of these agreements, while the Virginia Higher Education Procurement Consortium and the VHEAP Captioning Committee will manage the initiative. Today's demonstration by VZP Digital will provide you with the information to get started using their services. Through the VHEAP Captioning Initiative, VZP offers a set of services involving human intervention, thereby meeting the effective communication requirement of the ADA. They also offer other services which you are welcome to use. However, these are considered outside of this initiative. More information on the VHEAP Captioning Initiative can be found under the Initiatives tab on the VHEAP website, vheap.org. The demonstration today is being recorded and will be available on the VZP webpage through the VHEAP Captioning Initiative site. And with that, I'll hand it over to JR and Victor for their presentation.
Well, thank you, Lori, and thank you for the attendees for your time. As Lori had alluded to, we've been working for some time on this. We were very appreciative to be, considered one of the partners, and we hope to be the leading partner for the next couple of years in this. Lori, I don't know if you want to wait for me to wait till the end, but there were a couple housekeeping issues with the website, just some minor things. I can email it to you if that's better.
Yeah, why don't you email me that? And then also, I forgot to mention that VZP is providing the live transcription today or live captioning today, so you can experience their services.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I go ahead and share my screen, Lori? Is that okay?
Yes, you can. There you go.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. They're going to be in your way?
No.
All right, go ahead.
First slide. Okay, so just a little bit more background for some of you who may not have been in attendance for some of the other presentations. We are a minority-owned business just outside of Denver. We've been around almost 6.5 years. We're going on our 7th year. Again, one of the other big things we hear from our clients is that they really like that we use domestic captioners and stenographers. One of the things Victor's a little bit modest about, he was the former COO at another captioning company, and he just had so much of a commitment to the deaf and hard of hearing community. He was thinking, hey, I can do this, even more commitment. We've hired deaf employees, contractors. We have our patented technology, VZP Reach. While that is something that's in discussion, it's usually on a case-by-case basis. And then finally, and I know I've mentioned this to Lori, but we think, and it shouldn't be that hard, but the art of customer service is gone these days. Not just in our vertical, but we think in a lot. And we really believe it's not that hard to provide best-in-class service. And we believe that helps us in other duties as assigned, if you want to put it in that way. So a little bit more about the contact information. There are numbers, website, my personal cell phone. We are a 24/7 service just because of the nature of our business. Unfortunate events, weather or news, different things like that, we have to be. So the office number goes to both Victor's cell phone and my cell phone. So we truly are a 24/7 service. And we think that's a differentiator as well. Once we get going with all of the new partners, these will be some of the contacts that we will be working with you on: sales, ops, accounting, and reports. So getting started, we're going to go through a couple different things here. And we're willing to work with each of the institutions on, their preferred ways in setting up accounts. But typically we look at these different things here. I'm not going to read them all, but contacts, type of service, billing information is sometimes, this gets to be not a challenge, but in the beginning, it's getting everyone to sing from the same hymnal. There may be different POs in different departments. So you could have, if it's athletics versus, the president's office or different things like that, we work with you to make sure the right department is billed. If there's a PO, your preferred billing method, if you want to do ACH. On our end, for instance, just with the University of Virginia, I believe we have over 40 contacts. And this is only to help us serve you better. And then, the granularity of color, font, timing, roll up, and different things like that. So these are the services that we're going to be providing. A lot of these were in the agreement, but I don't know how many people have seen the actual agreements for the respective providers. CART, obviously, live, we work with Eric Elgren in the athletics department at UVA. So he helps us with scoreboards and different things like that. Live to tape, we do a number of things for universities. And the next thing, the platforms. And as most of you are probably aware, the big change came during COVID. This was Zoom. I would have liked to have their stock at that point, but they really took off. And as most of you probably experienced working with some of these other platforms, we can work with all of them. One of the other things, and this is right now, it's in a lot of the sporting, but we believe it's also coming into the education vertical, is the ability to deliver captions via mobile devices. And again, it's just technology taking off. YouTube is another means for doing that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So offline, as we had mentioned, non-live, we do quite a bit of that with universities for post-event things and different file formats we can use. And each of you attendees may be realizing this a lot more yourself, but the audio video description is becoming much more prevalent, not only in the captioning, in the education vertical, but also in the news media. News stations that we work with, it's literally listed on their websites. So it's become quite what's the word, Victor, more prevalent.
Yeah.
In what's going on, and we believe that's a little bit to do with the government being more proactive in trying to do that. And the certification in process, we have done audio video descriptions, but in order to serve you even more efficiently, we are making sure that the people providing the service are more certified. So Lori had alluded to this. We do other things that are not necessarily under the VHEAP agreement. I alluded to the AI captioning technology, that's Reach. Victor, if you'd like to show the patent that we have. And that's what I mean by really showing the commitment. This is one of the reasons Victor wanted to start his own company, the commitment to the innovation and serving the community in the most effective way. ASL is also becoming more prevalent, we believe, in suiting the needs in all verticals, really. Interpretation also, in most cases, that is virtual rather than on-site. But with enough notice, we could probably make arrangements for on-site. I'm talking to Cornell University right now about potentially doing one of their classes outside in the middle of winter for about 60 to 80 students. So I'm working with them on that. So don't be afraid to ask for anything really on that. Okay, account maintenance. This was a little bit what we talked in one of the earlier slides, and helping us serve you in the most efficient manner. We are willing to work with each institution individually for what's most effective for you and your needs. That's what we sort of pride ourselves on, is as Victor had showed in an earlier slide, I'm willing to take that call. Find out the things you want, the reports you want, the file format, the timing, the turnaround, rather than just order taking. We want to show you our partnership.
If I can just add to that, I think one of the key things is, I mean, JR is certainly the front man and the account rep in that respect, and client services. But the reason behind a lot of the distribution groups that you'll see email-wise, schedule, ops, reports, is because there's multiple people reacting to that at any given time. And as you add members to your list of authorized personnel to order services, we would obviously associate it appropriately and capture that information so that there's a consistency and they know that they're part of the UVA family or the VHEAP family, excuse me. So,
okay. And that's what we're really talking about in this slide. It's account maintenance and growth in the relationship, and realizing that each of the institutions' needs may be different from one another. So a little bit about what we can compile. It's probably a little bit hard to read on there, but we will be able to send this after. But it's, it's just what you would like to see in the report. And Victor, can you give them just a few examples? I can't read that.
As far as, well, yeah, I think one of the questions that was on the agenda was a method to obtain account information, who is ordering events, and even the account kind of hierarchy of who within that group is responsible for the event. So obviously we can tell you when the event was, how long did it last, who initiated the order, and then what part of the VHEAP family placed that order in UVAs. It would be, if it's sports, it's probably going to be Eric. If it's more the administration and CART, then it's going to be other people. But that, I guess my point is, what we'd want to do is kind of establish a profile or template that everybody would like to use, and that's just a few meetings, maybe just one meeting, sitting down and seeing what's going to be important to your folks in terms of information. So anything else there? And then the other part here, reports at VZPdigital.com. Again, if there's any inquiry that you want to do or that you want to try to gather, you could just ask at that email, and then we'll know it's a report request inquiry and turn that around fairly quickly.
Ordering, again, we touched a little bit on this in the beginning, but there is the website URL, vzpdigital.com/order. Each one is unique, as all of you may know. One of the things in sports, and we do this a little bit with Eric Elgren at UVA, is where he can, he'll give us a schedule in advance and that we can put it on the board and make sure that we've accounted for it. Some of the other universities we work with across the country, Michigan State's an example, they'll send us a whole spreadsheet for each of their respective seasons. So we have all 8 football games, we have all 12 volleyball games and so on. And then if something changes by, TV or different things like that, we are updated then by the client. And then we will email confirmation of not only the original spreadsheet, but also of any changes that may take place within that period.
And then I just want to emphasize, I mean, obviously the order form is probably the most used method for placing orders, but we will always take your order, even if you just call and say, look, I don't have time to fill out the worksheet, or there's, for whatever reason, may be problematic. You can certainly call us and place a verbal order, or you can just email us at sales and we'll get that processed for you. It'll all go through the same workflow.
Another recent example of that was Michigan State, probably about 3 weeks ago. They had a graduation that they had not scheduled. And so someone had forgotten to schedule it. I got a call on a Saturday morning and they're like, we really need you for this afternoon. There was no form there and we were able to help them out with that.
Yeah. So just options. And then as we've discussed, obviously we are working on a modified web page to move more towards the fully compliant WCAG, etc. So that's still kind of in motion, as we had talked about earlier. So but just real quickly on the ordering online, if you haven't done it before, you basically I don't know if I want to go through a demo, but I'll show you really quickly. I'll just talk through it. Basically, it's going to ask you for your contact information. And I'm going to go to another slide that will show you more of the type of field information, but it's all the things you would expect. So you'll see your contact information. What are you submitting? What's the deliverable? Is it an SRT file? Is it a live event? Is it an interpretation? And then there's a place to put special instructions as well. And then once you click submit, if you actually have the asset that you want us to caption, or you have additional information that you want to make available to us for prep material, that is always helpful to our team to get spellings of places, names, and things of that nature. That's also where you could upload it. And then you'll, within, say 10-15 minutes, you should get a confirmation of your order and just let you know we're on it. So we'll jump to the next. So the kind of information we look for obviously is who's placing the order, where can we reach you, email, as I mentioned, the type of service, the event title, the dates, times, and then if it's a captioning of any sort, we might ask a little bit more information, like, do you want all uppercase? Do you want mixed case? Where do you want the captions? Top of the screen, bottom of the screen? And then as far as the differing formats that we can provide you, we'll just ask for that clarification as well. The other thing is if it's a rush and it's a hurry up and get it done, we just need to know that. But you can usually kind of initiate the whole process right there. So jump here. As we mentioned, you have multiple ways of ordering, but you want to go on this?
Yes, as I said, some of the things can be very unique in ordering multiple events. The other thing that is happening a lot with universities are, what would I say, concurrent sessions to an event. So for instance, and I'm making this up, if you had the president's address and it was a 2 or 3 day event, you may have sessions going on in different rooms. So you've got room A, the president's staff, room B, the president's, technical team and so on. And in that instance, we would consider it, and it would be a concurrent event where we're using multiple captioners in different, how shall we say, rooms that are happening at the same time. So we typically, in those type of things, ask for a detailed agenda as much as we can. Then if it's 4 rooms and they're going concurrently, we know we're going to need 4 captioners for that type of thing. Another thing that happens a lot with those events, and I think we're going to get to it in the next slide, but is if there's panel discussions. Those can sometimes be challenging because while there's usually a moderator, there's sometimes people talking over one another. And it's sometimes tough for the captioner to pick up what's being said.
And just tactically, they'll follow kind of whoever's leading I guess the essence of the conversation. But and if it gets a little too distracting, that you'll see the words indiscernible or bantering or something to that effect. Okay, anything else? Event prep.
This has become bigger, and again, on our end, commitment to the service, but the more you can give us as prep material, it really helps us. Heidi, who is doing the event today, one of our top captioners, she'll come to us and say, okay, what do we have and different things for that? Lori, at that point, I had provided her with your outline. And then that helps her, just knows what to be ready. She had this presentation deck, and it sort of helps her in her alignment of what she is trying to help serve with you. And I'm going to say something nice about Heidi just so she has to type it in.
And we have it in writing.
Yeah, we have it in writing. So again, more you can help us help you. It just makes it better for everyone, as well as the post-event deliverables too. Schedule changes, again, any event within 24 hours will be invoiced for the schedule time. We will work with you on a different thing. Some events are unique and could have been none of your doing, weather, different things like that. So we are more than willing to work with the universities and institutions in these rare situations. So that really wraps it up. We are proud and excited to be part of VHEAP, and selfishly, we hope we get the lion's share of the business.
And just one other piece I'd like to add is obviously, and we've expressed this to those that we've met with before, but our goal is truly to engage the community and let them be a part of this company. And to that, just as part of our commitment, we recently onboarded what we are titling a community outreach specialist. His name is Joe Wilson. He's a great guy, sharp as a tack. He's a part-timer. He was dealt with immune deficiency and was anxiously seeking employment. And I had known him prior to the affliction. And I just remember his talents. And we had a few meetings, and his ability to produce is still there. So I invited him to join us. So I'm proud to say he's now part of our team as the community outreach specialist. So, but let's see. So at that point, I think we're done on my side, our side. We kind of want to open this up to any questions that the team may have.
Yeah, this is your time now, everyone. If you have any questions, just go ahead and shout. Well, let's be a little bit more civilized. Please use your raise the hand, and
Don't shout.
and we'll call on you for your questions.
And while they're thinking about that, the other thing I kind of want to emphasize is, and John alluded to it a little bit earlier, is is even if you're doing like a chancellor event and the captions are being projected on the big screen, one of the conveniences we've created is the ability to send to mobile devices. So all the attendees could actually go into their own cell phone and read captions there, increase the font, change the language to something that maybe is more, I guess, conducive to their understanding if they're first generation immigrants or anything like that. So really our goal is to truly create this accessibility in all aspects possible. So.
And just real quick, if I may, Kristen, I saw that you're in attendance. Thank you for all your help in making the changes and everything. Kristen was very patient with me. I was part of the Southwest disaster that was happening during the holidays. So Kristen, thank you very much for your patience with that.
Oh, of course, you're welcome. I hit you right before all that was going up. We were in no rush, but thanks for responding and your attention to all of that as well. So I'm sorry that happened though.
No,
That sounded like a mess for a lot of people.
Yeah,
something I won't forget very soon.
it's one of those memorable moments that seems horrible, but then you like to reflect on it.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions, Lori, at this point?
I'm not seeing any questions. Questions going once.
I know we're thorough, but wow.
Wow, I know. Well, you've opened yourself up too. You know, if you need anything, give us a call type of deal. So
Always.
yeah.
And please know, I mean, any question, even an idea, we get a variety of inquiries, and I think that's one of the things that is just unique with us as a company, is we love consulting and collaborating on ideas and solutions. If you've got a challenging event that is in Hall 1 and Hall 7 and in the football field and this and that, those are kind of our favorite, to try to troubleshoot and figure out how do we get accessibility throughout the whole campus, and even students that may be traveling in the UK. We can do that. So
There, for instance, there was a university, a Big Ten school that I had been talking to for a while, and yesterday I reached out to him and he just said, nope, now's the time, let's go. So as a salesperson, I believe, and I try to walk the fine line. I'm never going to be what's it going to take to put you into this captioning today? It's more of a relationship type of thing, and I believe that's the best for both parties. But this gentleman, we're conducting the technical test tomorrow, and then hopefully be working with them as soon as this weekend. So again, any other institutions that you may know of that looking for help, we'd be glad to help them out. And Lori, I did have one other question, if anyone else didn't have one.
I guess everyone knows everything about VZP.
Okay.
So
Well,
we're
Lori,
good.
could I ask one quick question? And I may have mentioned this before, but one part of the agreement obviously is K-12. Is
Mhm.
there any direction you can give us on maybe working with that?
Let's take that offline,
Okay,
and we'll talk about that at
okay,
a different time.
okay, no problem at all.
So, all right, folks, I want to thank Victor and JR for their presentation today, and I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.